Today we are finishing up the book of Joshua together. We're in Joshua chapter 24. And where the scene opens, Joshua has just called the tribes of Israel together at a place called Shechem. And what he does is he begins to recount the history of the people of Israel. In verses 2 to 12, he starts with Abraham, and he tells of God's faithfulness throughout all the generations so far of the people of Israel. He goes into how God delivered them from the Egyptians and how God provided for and protected for the people of Israel as they were wandering through the wilderness, and then how he led them into the promised land, how he brought them into this place that he had promised to them years before. Then Joshua comes to this call to action, and in verses 14 and 15 we read this. So fear the Lord and serve him wholeheartedly. Put away forever the idols your ancestors worshipped when they lived beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Serve the Lord alone. But if you refuse to serve the Lord, then choose today whom you will serve. Would you prefer the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or will it be the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now live? But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Now the people and Joshua continue to go back and forth here a little bit, but Joshua warns them against taking this call to serve the Lord lightly. He says this is not something to be done half-heartedly. This is not something to be taken lightly. God is the only God to serve. And the people, they do affirm that this is their decision to choose to serve the Lord and to forget about all the other gods, all the other idols that they themselves have worshiped and served or their ancestors have. And to remind them that this is their decision, Joshua makes a covenant with the people of Israel. Now, after this, Joshua, at the age of 110, dies, the leader of the people of Israel. But it says here that he was a servant of the Lord. He was one who took up this call to serve the Lord with his whole heart. Now, I want to back up here a second. As I was reading through and preparing today, I could not separate this from what's going on in Afghanistan right now. My heart has been so burdened for the women and the children and the Christians and the stories of what's happening right now. I was listening to an interview from a pastor in the underground church of Iran. And Iran, by the way, is the country where Christianity is spreading the quickest right now. And this pastor was saying that he has leaders on the ground in Afghanistan who, in the midst of everything that is going on, in the midst of the threats against their life, they are calling him, asking him, how can we make the name of Jesus known right now in this time? How can we spread the gospel to people right now? How humbling is that? So first of all, today, let this just be a call to action for us to pray for our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan, everything that's going on. Let's just pray for their protection, for God's provision for every single one of their needs, and let's boldly pray for the message of Jesus to spread like wildfire there right now. And secondly, let their example and the message that Joshua tells us in the Bible today, let this be a call to action for us to wake up. And friends, let me tell you that this is a call to action for me too. I am right there beside you. Let's wake up and remember the faithfulness of God in our lives throughout all of history. And let it move us to boldly declare that as for me and my house, as for me and my family, I am going to serve the Lord. Not as for me and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord while still continuing to go through the motions of life. Or as for me and my house, I will serve the Lord, but continue to seek after and buy the next and greatest thing. Or as for me and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord, but I'm going to continue to let what the world screams at us to divide followers of Jesus. No, as for me and my house, I am going to choose to serve the Lord. Let's commit today to wake up. Let's put our hands in. Let's wake up to the calling that God has placed on our lives to serve him, to make his name known. Forgetting about everything else that the world screams at us is important because it's a loud voice. Forget it. Leave it all behind and press on towards what God has called us to do. Because as for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.